How many 8-year-old little girls do you know that like snakes and bugs on their bedroom wall? My colleague asked me to paint something to hang on his youngest daughter's wall. She likes snakes and bugs and creepy-crawlies, and emphatically the color mint. And so while she might want a snake on her wall this year, next year, maybe not. So I decided to paint her a lizard. This is Cheryl, the artist of animal art by TerraCotta, and before I show you the picture and a little bit of the painting process, let me tell you 6 facts about the Chinese water dragon. Actually, there are 2 kinds of water dragon. There's the Chinese water dragon, which lives in China, of course, and adjacent countries to the south. And then there's the Australian water dragon, which lives in Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, and other neighboring islands. The Chinese water dragon is really a lot brighter, has greens and blues, while the Australian water dragon is rather dull in color, which reflects the kind of arid environment it lives in. Water dragons live in trees, not in the water. They retreat to the water if they're chased by a predator, and they can hold their breath for up to 30 minutes, but they live in trees and low shrubs. Males can get up to 3 feet in length, but only about a third of that is their body size. Their tails are actually 2/3 of their length, and then of course the females are a little bit smaller. Water dragons are omnivorous. That means they eat fruits, leaves, small rodents, and they have even been known to eat their cousin lizards. Yummy, that makes them cannibals. And finally, the water dragons are quite docile and they rarely bite, and so they become really popular as pets. So now that you know 6 facts about the Chinese water dragon, let's go have a look at the painting process. And to give background to this particular painting, my colleague is moving to a new home and he has 2 daughters, 11-year-old and an 8-year-old. His 11-year-old he asked me to paint a blue wolf for, and for this younger 8-year-old, he said, wow, she likes different things. And so he said she likes snakes and spiders and creepy crawlies, and her new favorite color is mint. Not peach anymore, but mint. So he asked if I would paint something along those lines. I gave it some thought, but I don't think she's going to want a snake on her wall in a year or 2, so maybe I'll just paint a lizard. Many people like lizards. And the outcome is a Chinese water dragon, although I did get a little creative and add some iguana-like tufts on the top of its head. And for those curious about the colors I used to get my results, I used cobalt blue, and I darkened the blue just a touch with carmine, and yellow ochre and yellow to make the greens, mixing it with the blues. Of course, lots of white. I did use a bright aqua green and an emerald green, but just a little bit. Mostly I created my own greens with the yellows and the blue. And of course the one signature color for this was the copper. It really brightened everything. And right now I'm holding up the gel medium. Gel medium is something I used for the first time in this painting. Gel medium is for extending the paints rather than diluting them with water, which breaks down the polymers. I was using gel medium, and I just mixed a little bit of gel medium in with the paint, just a touch. Supposedly that creates better glazes, and that's really what I was wanting. I wanted to create more of a glaze on the scales, and that's exactly how I used it. I thought the scales turned out pretty well, especially after I put a gloss on. I used a gloss varnish to complete the picture at the very end, and it really brought out the colors, and it made the scales rather luminous. You'll notice I already prepared my background. I started with kind of a mint green as a base color, and then I just sponged some colors over it, some white and ochre, yellow ochre. Now I'm painting on a lot of blue, and it's just getting a little bit too blue because the little girl was really insistent. She loves mint. And so after doing a lot of negative painting and realizing it's getting more blue than mint, I just more or less started over. I painted over most of the blue in the upper part, and a lot of that careful background I did. It was kind of cool looking. I wanted it to be what the little girl wanted. She wanted mint, and it was actually easier for me to start over because painting around those horns and around the knobs was getting a little bit rough, and it would just be better if I painted green and I would paint on top rather than around. So it was win-win. Right now I'm doing a little glazing with the yellow ochre just to outline the body and where the highlights of the body are, some of the darker areas. I'm not painting everything, I'm just painting the areas that I would like to really focus on, trying to set my values. Here I'm starting to cover up some of that background. I'm using mostly a little bit of cobalt blue, yellow, not ochre yellow, but just the regular brighter yellow, and a lot of white to kind of mute it, tone it down, and to make that mint green that she wants. And obviously here I've added a little bit more yellow. I wanted to brighten that corner. I've decided to go for a little bit darker water dragon, and because I want dark and I want more contrast, I'm making the background a bit lighter, just so that the water dragon pops against a lighter background. I don't want it to be like a chameleon blending in. I want it to actually stand out a bit. The focus really is the water dragon, so I'm not going to add specific detail for the foliage or for the rocks or the ground. And so I'm just kind of putting an impression down and different colors, layer different colors on top of each other, so that it does look like there's depth in both the foliage and on the ground. A little inside story about my choice of what to paint. I never told my colleague, and he never gave me any kind of specific details either, but ironically, I'm painting a Chinese water dragon, and my colleague and his wife are getting the little girl a bearded dragon. They are going to arrive about the same time, and that is going to be one happy little girl. Unfortunately, I'm not a happy little girl. While I was filming, I had no idea that the memory of my iPad was filled, and so the last hour of my painting, I have no footage. And so what I can show you is the final Chinese water dragon and the blue wolf for those two young ladies, and hopefully they will be two happy campers. This is my creative space, and these are my two most recent paintings, the blue wolf and the green Chinese water dragon. If there are any animals that you would like me to make a tutorial for, please make the comment below about what animal it is. And of course you can always hit that like and subscribe button. I hope to see you here again soon because I have more videos coming up.